The Bridge of Calafat is considered the main entrance gate in Romania through the southern part of the country. It connects Romania and Bulgaria over the Danube and is part of the pan-European corridor of transport that links Germany to Turkey and Greece. Thus, Calafat has become a landmark on the maps of the European transporters, some 20,000 vehicles crossing it weekly. The European Road 79 will lead us for 90 kilometers to the most important city of Oltenia region, Craiova, the capital of Dolj County. The international airport of Craiova, one of the most important airports of Romania, is transited by almost 500,000 passengers yearly. It operates both passenger traffic and airplane movements in the southwestern part of the country. The airport also ensures medical services, handling, transport to and from the city, hotel bookings, contacts with local operators, and medical insurance. Craiova is a city with a 600-year-old history, and the Museum of Oltenia is the very place where the past of the region comes to life. Visiting the History Archaeology department is a journey throughout centuries of history. And the visitor who walks through the halls crosses, in fact, a winding road through the events and characters that marked Romania's past. Nothing was left aside, so that, once finished this veritable time travel, the visitor will remain with the feeling that he also lived those moments of glory during the great battles, or sad moments from the communist epoch. Another department of the museum is that of natural sciences. The impressive prehistoric fossils start the route of this museum. Being followed by the dioramas, which are very realistically accomplished, with species from the current fauna of Oltenia. The Bănești House shelters the ethnography department of Oltenia's museum, being the oldest civil construction in Craiova. It is a genuine landmark in the museum landscape of Dolj County, hosting many collections and exhibitions that include representative aspects of the old customs and occupations of the inhabitants in the region of Oltenia. A real landmark of the Romanian world of museums is the Art Museum of Craiova, located in Jean Mihail Palace. The edifice shelters important collections of works of art, including a permanent exhibition showing the works of the greatest Romanian sculptor, Constantin Brâncuș. It is the place where art lovers can admire some of the masterpieces that brought fame to the brilliant sculptor born in Oltenia. The Museum of an Impressive Architecture and High-Quality Finishing Works also hosts some remarkable painting collections. Everything is arranged in total harmony, so that visiting this museum is a real delight of the artistic sense. We have to go back to Calafat for another important museum in Dolj County, where we discover the Art and Ethnography Museum inside the Marincu Palace. The construction of a really refined architecture was built according to the designs of the French architect Paul Gauthiereau, renowned in Romania at the beginning of the 20th century, when he also designed other emblematic buildings of the country, including Jean Mihail Palace, where we have just admired the Art Museum of Craiova. Currently, the Museum of Calafat has a rich collection of art objects presented in permanent exhibitions, and it also organizes many personal exhibitions of some important contemporary local and foreign artists. You cannot talk about theatrical art in Romania without mentioning Marin Sorescu National Theatre in Craiova. It is a symbolic cultural edifice of the country, a place that hosted the staging of some reference plays by remarkable directors. The theatre is also the host of innumerable cultural events that attract a large and enthusiastic audience every time. Craiova is the most important university center of Oltenia too, its faculties teaching over 30,000 students every year, while the university offers excellent learning conditions for all the cycles of higher education. The largest and best-known recreation space is undoubtedly the Romanescu Park. Though it has an area of about 100 hectares, the park sometimes gets overcrowded, as it is the favorite walking place of the local inhabitants. In 1900, the designs of the park were awarded the gold medal at the Universal Exhibition of Paris, which is now the third largest park in Europe. It is located in the southern part of the city, its arrangement beginning in 1901, being finished 3 years later. The Romanescu Park also has, besides the spaces with ornamental trees and shrubs, a lake of about 4 hectares. Besides its undeniable beauty, the park is closely connected to the first love of all local teenagers. For many of the people who sighed with longing while walking under the crown of century-old trees, the Romanescu Park remains the most beautiful park in Romania. The old center of Craiova is one of the emblematic places of the city. The development of the settlement started here a long time ago, being placed at the crossroads of commercial routes that cross the country from north to south and from east to west towards the Occident. The old center of Craiova is not just a place laden with history today. The restoration of the whole area changed this place into the most attractive commercial drink and food sector of the city. The restaurants and terraces placed here have become the new meeting point, while the locals are taking their evening stroll. If the stadium of the University of Craiova were called Sagrada Familia, it would probably best illustrate the spirit and passion generated around the most beloved football club in Romania. The new stadium, called Ion Oblemenko, is the temple of the Oltenian football, the place where each week, on the football field, but mainly in the stands, the fans live the most consuming passion for sport. The supporter spirit of the University of Craiova team has been unchanged for generations and transcends the changes, convulsions and unrest the club has experienced during the 70 years of history. Close to this beautiful stadium of Romania is located the multi-purpose sports hall of Craiova. The place has in its turn an uneasy history, the old building being destroyed by a devastating fire in 1994. Now the new multi-purpose hall hosts both sports events and ample artistic shows. Having over 4,000 places, the hall is most of the time full, as the local people greatly enjoy such performances. The production spaces of Craiova's industrial park shelter a great number of firms whose products are highly appreciated. The famous electric ET Wow scooters are produced here, being created and marketed by an engineer from Craiova. Nextrom is the first factory in Europe that has a serial production of electric vehicles of this kind. At the same time, there is produced special quality furniture for hospitals and pharmacies in the industrial park. Besides, there are many other firms here covering other fields of economic activity, from textiles to accommodation services. The industrial park is located in the eastern part of the city, being an initiative of Dolj County Council meant to support the economic development of the region. Softronic carries on a tradition which started 50 years ago in Craiova, being now the only producer of electric locomotives in Romania. There are made here Sfinx and Transmontana models, considered the most advanced electric locomotives made in Eastern Europe, and also the Hyperion train, for which there have been used the newest and most performing electric, electronic and mechanical equipments. The Ford factory in Craiova is not only the best-known company that carries out its activity here, but also the greatest employer of Dolj County. The American giant officially took over the former car factory of Craiova at the beginning of 2008, and the number of those carrying out their activity here is over 6,000 persons now. Ford is the third great producer that, over the years, decided to invest in the development and production of some new models in the factory of Craiova. After the French people of Citroën and the Koreans of Daewoo, the American Ford, with its innovative Puma model, seems more determined than ever to enlist the factory in Dolj County among the important car manufacturers in this part of Europe. Romania has reached top 20 greatest cereal producer in the world in recent years, obtaining almost 4.3% of the world production. Dolj County, with an agricultural area of about 590,000 hectares, is one of the most important agricultural producers of the country. Cereal.com trading company located in Segarcha is among the top 3 greatest cereal producers in Romania, with a turnover of about 140 million euros in 2018. It registered a record production of 738,000 tons of wheat on a cultivated area of 160,000 hectares in 2017. Besides wheat, which has an important share in the cereal production balance at county level, the local farmers get also notable results in the other cereal and technical plant crops. The Crown Estate wine cellar in Segarcha, a word that means dreamland in Latin, was built in the shape of a Greek cross and bore from the start noble insignia, the royal family's coat of arms and the wreath of lilies that decorates the entrance. Currently, there is produced here a wine selection that is really royal, which supports the saying that a vineyard which was loved and respected gave its king everything that was best. The wines of the royal estate in Segarcha followed the royal family throughout history, during the diplomatic dinners or official events, and witnessed the historic circumstances as a silent and loyal servant. The latest technology enriched the noble tradition so that the estate can fulfill the highest winemaking standards. The spirit of the estate has been preserved and is currently kept in the wine cellar of Segarcha, which shelters a real enologic treasury. The shape of the bottles from the royal times was a source of inspiration for the ones where the current wine is bottled. And so Dolj County is also renowned for its exceptional winemaking potential. The winding bank of the Danube is a place which can offer unforgettable experiences to those looking for the wild areas of Dolj County. Located only a few kilometers from civilization, the Danube Meadow hides landscapes of a rare beauty. Under the forest crown, sometimes flooded by the Danube water, nature lovers can find a real refuge here. It is the place where those looking for a shady spot in the unbearable heat of the summer can hide safely. The Boskov beach, with its gentle breeze and the coolness of the forest nearby, outlines an irresistible destination for all those choosing to escape the hot concrete walls of the cities. On every sunset, the silence that falls on the beaches of the Danube bank is only disturbed sometimes by a cruise ship crossing the river to and fro. The Whitsuntide dance called Kalushul is probably the oldest and most mysterious traditional Romanian dance. You can still find groups of such dancers in Dolj County practicing this form of ancient ritualistic dance, though nowadays it is interpreted mainly on the stage. It is a ritual aiming at protecting all the things on earth and healing everybody. This unique phenomenon is strictly passed from one generation to the next, and the dancers' belief in this ritual is unwavering. The Whitsuntide dance, called the Kalush, a wonderful dance which fascinated many generations, is based on three manifestations. First, the archaic one, which proves the oldness of the Kalush in its extreme form of interpretation, as it seems that initially it was a satanic dance, and the expansion of this phenomenon reached the mountains of England and even London, where there are frescoes with such dancers. Second, the ritualistic one, which has this form of healing and protecting all the people and their surrounding world, after the Romanian people was Christianed. And third, the spectacular one, where for the love of this dance, the choreographers, foremen and dancers interfered in the expression of the dance and brought it to a remarkably spectacular level of interpretation, fascinating the audience. Consequently, it is said that a dancer who hasn't danced the Kalush has never attained perfection in his stage performance. The fame of Maglovit village surpassed the borders of Dolj County ever since the interwar period. The man who brought fame to this village on the bank of the Danube, changing it into a real pilgrimage site, was Petrache Lupu, a shepherd who had more visions about God. After a few healings with some miraculous water that was flowing from the tree trunk, people all over the country started to form endless queues, hoping the saint will cure their diseases. Even though the Romanian Orthodox Church has not yet expressed an official point of view about the real case of the shepherd Petrache Lupu from Maglavit, legends about the miraculous healings continue to appear. Winter has covered both the fields where once the ripe wheat spices were swinging and the winding banks of the Danube, changing everything into a seemingly endless white surface. The lapsing of time follows its natural course. The fields and forests, embraced by the gentle heat and soft hues of autumn, are now temporarily taken over by the cold breath of winter. Even the bustle through the most important access gate in the south of the country seems to have dwindled. Everything is immersed in silence, while far away we can hear the jingle bells of the horses and the voices of the waits.